Welcome, teachers. Let's just dive right into it, shall we? Today, we are focusing on something absolutely crucial for your professional journey, the Berlitz and PECTA model paper for the Level 3 final term test. You can consider this explainer your ultimate step-by-step blueprint. I know you've been working incredibly hard through the first half of this training, and as we look toward that final term paper, well, the goal isn't just to pass it. The goal is to absolutely master it. We're going to decode the hidden logic behind the questions so you can walk into that exam room with total confidence. So, let's talk about what's at stake here. The final paper is worth exactly 40 total marks. Now, based on the source material we're analyzing today, if you can just grasp the basic rules and the underlying concepts we're about to cover, you aren't just looking at an 80 or 90%. You are looking at a perfect 100%. Seriously. The test is highly structured, and once you start seeing the patterns, getting full marks is entirely within your reach. To get that perfect score, we're going to break the exam down into 4 main pillars: grammar and vocabulary, reading comprehension, listening, and the writing assignment. All right, let's start with pillar 1, mastering grammar and vocabulary. Think of grammar as the engine driving this entire test. Lock down these foundational rules, and everything else honestly just falls into place. Let's break down a super common pitfall, choosing between since and for. We have 2 specific scenarios from the test. First, Sarah, who has worked at her company since 2021. We use since here because 2021 is a specific, pinpointed starting point in time. On the flip side, we have Ashley, who has been back at school for more than 2 years. We use for here because 2 years represents a duration, a block of time. Remembering that simple contrast, that guarantees you marks. And this brilliantly illustrates how your understanding of tenses is evaluated within a specific context. You aren't just conjugating a verb in a vacuum. You really have to understand this scenario. For instance, take the phrase, "They were having dinner when the phone rang." This is a classic interrupted past action. You need that continuous past tense because they were literally right in the middle of eating when the phone interrupted them. Now contrast that with, "By this time tomorrow, we will have finished our project." That phrase, "by this time tomorrow," is your massive clue. It signals an action that will be completely finished at a specific point in the future. Moving on to vocabulary. Again, you aren't just defining words out of nowhere. You're identifying documents based on their context. Take the example of a document belonging to a man named Larry G. Allen. It lists his professional experience in San Francisco, roles like vice president and director, and his dates of employment starting way back in 1993. The question asks, what is this document? Well, it's not a job advertisement. It's not just a random list of skills. Because it details a chronological professional history, the correct vocabulary word is, for sure, a resume. Let's look at another vocabulary example that relies heavily on context clues. You might read a sentence about going on a journey around the Caribbean. You're given options like sailing, trip, or cruise. Now, while they all relate to travel, the specific context of taking a large-scale leisure voyage around the Caribbean dictates that cruise is the most accurate choice. Finding that exact contextual fit is exactly what the examiners are testing for. Okay, moving right along to Pillar 2, decoding reading comprehension. The absolutely best strategy for reading comprehension? Empathy. When you read these passages, try to put yourself directly in the character's shoes. Let's look at a direct excerpt from the model paper. We have a letter from a woman named Karen writing to someone named Amanda. Karen writes, "The children helped with their rooms and we did the washing together. The house looks great now." She then goes on to invite Amanda over to visit next month. When you get a passage like this, I really want you to actively interrogate the text. Just like you would on the exam, ask yourself, based purely on the tone and the facts provided, who is Karen actually writing to? And what is the real underlying reason she wants this person to come over right now? Let's deduce the answers straight from the text. Is Karen writing to her boss? No way. You wouldn't typically write to your boss about your kids doing chores. Is she writing to a total stranger? Definitely not. She is writing to a family friend. And why the sudden invitation? Well, the text explicitly tells us they just finished massive spring cleaning. The house looks great, so she naturally wants her friend to come see it. Scanning for these specific, logical clues is what yields perfect reading scores. You'll also face fill-in-the-blank memos. Now, this relies entirely on matching surrounding words. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. In the example regarding Miss Gordon's lunch, you have to choose the exact right phrasing. You don't invite me for lunch in this sentence structure, you join me. You haven't placed reservations, you have made reservations. The restaurant is at Emilio's, and the meeting will be finished by 3.
Every single word has to lock in grammatically and contextually with its immediate neighbors.
That brings us to Pillar 3, acing the listening section.
The real challenge in the listening section isn't just hearing the words, it's simulated focus. You have to filter out the distractors. For instance, the source material gives us an audio snippet of a man and a woman at the beach discussing their plans for tomorrow. One of them explicitly says, "The waves are too big, let's skip surfing."
And here, right here, is how you might get caught off guard. The question doesn't ask what they are going to do. It specifically asks, what sport are the speakers not going to try? If you're just passively listening for sports vocabulary, you might hear surfing and pick it as an activity they are doing. But by catching that negative qualifier, let's skip, you immediately know the correct answer.
Let's look at another audio transcript. This time we have a customer named Alex at a cafe. Alex tells the barista, "I would like a small iced coffee and a chocolate muffin, please." The barista replies, "Sure thing, that will be $5. Sounds incredibly simple, right?
But to get the answers right, you have to mentally compartmentalize the information as you hear it. You're going to be asked specifically what drink Alex ordered. If you aren't paying close attention, you might get tripped up by the muffin. You have to separate the food from the beverage to confidently select iced coffee. Then, a totally separate question asks for the total cost, which we heard was $5. Active, segmented listening is the absolute key here. Finally, we reach Pillar 4, tackling the writing assignment. This is where you shift from multiple choice to generating your own 100 to 150 word response based on a specific prompt. We have a great practice example, tipping practices in your country. Now, to secure full marks here, you can't just ramble on generally about restaurants. You must systematically answer every single requirement in the prompt. Who do people give tips to? State it. How much is the usual tip? State it. Why might someone tip more or less? Explain it. Structure your paragraph so each of these points is hit clearly. The examiners are grading you heavily on how well you followed these exact instructions.
So let's pull all of this together into a really actionable strategy for your final study sessions. Step 1, grasp those grammar basics. Know your tenses and prepositions cold. Step 2, for reading, always scan for context and put yourself right in the writer's shoes. Step 3, during the audio sections, listen actively for specific details and be super careful with those negative distractors. And step 4, for your writing assignment, check off every single part of the prompt.
The structure of this exam is no longer a mystery to you. You have the blueprint. You know exactly how they built the grammar questions, how they hide clues in the reading, the little tricks they use in the audio, and precisely what they demand in the writing section. The only question left is, are you ready to apply these 4 pillars, trust in your preparation, and secure that perfect 100% on your final paper? I know for a fact you can do this. Keep practicing, stay focused, and go master that exam.